one of the most famous fighters of his generation, fighting in one of the famous stadiums in the world. Can you imagine being AJ right now? A lot of pressure too, though. Don't get it twisted. You've got to perform in front of 96,000 of your closest friends.
But mamma mia, Rosie, a social media sensation turned boxer, has turned the sport on its ear. This is incredible. And what must be going through this 27-year-old's mind, like so many members of his generation, dealing with mental health issues? Here we go!
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua has ignited a massive storm in the boxing world, with most experts calling it a mismatch from the start. Pros argue that Joshua's sheer size, knockout power, and elite heavyweight pedigree put him on a completely different level. With an Olympic gold medal and a career built on defeating top-tier contenders, Joshua enters this matchup with every advantage possible. Jake Paul has undeniably improved, scoring wins over MMA fighters and lower-tier boxers, but he's never stepped in with a true world-class heavyweight. Analysts agree that Paul's only hope would be landing a shocking early punch before Joshua settles in. But with Joshua's discipline, sharp jab, and ring IQ, most believe he would quickly take control. The consensus prediction: a dominant Joshua performance ending in a stoppage within just a few rounds. Exciting as the spectacle may be, boxing professionals overwhelmingly see this fight as an easy win for Anthony Joshua.
A few times on it. I mean, there's nothing to report to you that it's close, or, you know, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. We also work very closely with His Excellency, and although we have no contract with him, we're in talks for big fights next year, of course, Tyson Fury being one of them. So we'd definitely give him the respect of making sure that he was aware of the plan and, you know, part of that plan as well. But at the moment, you know, there's nothing major to report on that. Would we take the fight? Absolutely. I think Jake would be... I mean, my estimations of Jake Paul would go through the roof if he signed to fight Anthony Joshua, because I just can't believe in my mind that he would do something like that. I mean, Gervonta was a smart one because of his size. Like, you know, I think actually he would have had a lot of success against Jake Paul, but the size is a problem. But this would just be, you know, like if Jake Paul was to take the fight with AJ, you'd really have to maybe carry his balls in a wheelbarrow on the ring walk, you know, because that would be, because AJ wouldn't mess around in there, you know. So it would be huge, but nothing, you know, to tell you it's close.
The showdown between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is officially locked in for December 19th, 2025, at the Casa Center in Miami, and the entire world will be watching live on Netflix. This isn't some exhibition stunt. It's a fully sanctioned professional heavyweight fight under Queensberry rules, 8 rounds, 3 minutes each, with 10-ounce gloves. To tighten the matchup, Joshua has agreed to a contracted weight limit of 245 pounds, far lighter than his usual fighting weight. With both men risking their professional records, the stakes couldn't be higher. This clash guarantees real consequences, real danger, and yes, real knockouts on the line.
Jake Paul will face the 2-time unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua on Friday, December the 19th in Miami, Florida. It's going to be an 8-round fight with 3-minute rounds and 10-ounce gloves. It's Joshua's first fight since being knocked out by Daniel Dubois in September last year. Jake Paul won a unanimous decision against veteran Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. earlier this year. Well, Jake Paul said this: a professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title. To all my haters, this is what you wanted. To the people of the United Kingdom.
The boxing world has erupted with opinions after Jake Paul called out Anthony Joshua. Fans and experts alike argue that Paul's ambition has crossed into unrealistic territory. Challenging a seasoned heavyweight powerhouse like Joshua is seen by many as wildly overambitious, if not outright impossible.
A real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, "At Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, Then he asked for the toughest fights ever, and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh, crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP.
But Dave Allen has issued a strong warning, insisting that Anthony Joshua risks damaging his reputation by agreeing to fight Jake Paul. Allen argues that if Paul were to land even one clean shot, it could undermine everything Joshua has accomplished throughout his career. He believes this matchup leans far more toward entertainment than legitimate sport and doubts Joshua would want to expose himself to that kind of risk. According to Allen, many serious boxing fans would see the fight as a step backward, and Joshua could lose respect within the boxing community for facing a YouTuber-turned-boxer like Paul, especially considering Jake Paul was defeated by Tommy Fury.
Lost to Tommy Fury. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, and two, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua. It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
If AJ does say yes to going in against Jake Paul, does he harm his legacy?
I would lose a bit of respect for him, and I think a lot of boxing people would as well, to be honest. Why would he box him? 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, one of the best heavyweights the last 20 years, held British boxing on his back. People might say he deserves to box Jake Paul. But why though? Why would he do it?
Did you lose respect for him when he fought Ngannou? Did you lose respect for Fury when he fought Ngannou?
Ngannou's a serious fighting man. World champion of the mixed martial arts.
It's a worrying thing, potentially, the damage that AJ could do to Jake Paul.
He'll hurt him. Yeah, Jake Paul is a cruiserweight. You wouldn't put the Midlands area cruiserweight champion in with Anthony Joshua, so why would you put Jake Paul in there? Just because he's a superstar, whatever. I don't know what he does. What does he do? What is he?
A YouTuber.
It's just not worth it. He's got enough money as it is. Why risk all that for a few more quid? I don't like it.
With a fight set to be a fully sanctioned bout rather than an exhibition, Roy Jones Jr. has pushed back hard against the idea of Jake Paul ever becoming a legitimate world champion. Jones openly doubts Paul's ability to win any meaningful title, arguing that Paul has largely avoided truly battle-tested opponents. If Paul ever steps up against seasoned, high-level boxers, Jones believes they would expose him quickly. While Jones admits Paul might secure a title shot one day, he insists it would only happen under unusually favorable circumstances, not because Paul earned it through elite competition. In Roy Jones Jr.'s eyes, the answer to the big question is simple. Will Jake Paul become a world champion? No.
World champion?
No.
Why?
I think if they make him fight tough opponents, guys with experience, those guys will beat him. Now, if you catch somebody like myself at the end of their career, or somebody like Tyson, he caught at the end of their career, the chances are much higher. Because now it becomes more of a 50-50. You got a guy who's better than him, but the age factor. You understand me? And that's the only way to balance it for him to make it a 50-50 fight. Somebody who's on his level at the same age, those guys have too much experience. You understand me? So he's not going to beat those guys. But you find a guy who is past his prime, who has the mentality further than his, but past their prime, it kind of...
Anthony Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has flat-out dismissed Jake Paul's boxing abilities, calling him an average fighter at best. Hearn has repeatedly questioned whether Paul has the skill, experience, or pedigree needed to compete at the highest level, especially against a powerhouse like Joshua. While he acknowledges that Paul has improved over time, Hearn insists he is still nowhere close to the standard required to stand in the ring with elite heavyweights.
Good for the sport of boxing?
Yes, I know these guys. They're unbelievably bright. I mean, Logan, much brighter than Jake, in my opinion. But Jake's smart. Okay. Content, we have our ups and downs. Yeah. I respect Jake. I actually respect him in a boxing sense as well. But we fell out because I told him he was average. That's actually a compliment. Like, to be an average fighter, coming to this kid who's 26, 27, decides to go into boxing. We had a conversation where he's actually telling me he's going to beat Canelo Alvarez. And I'm looking around for cameras. I'm thinking,
Eddie Hearn didn't hold back, saying he sometimes wonders if Jake Paul is mic'd up for a prank with the things he claims. Hearn highlighted Paul's outrageous statements, including his claim that he could beat Canelo Alvarez, calling the idea completely insane. According to Hearn, Paul is massively overestimating his abilities. While Paul has picked up wins over former MMA fighters and lower-level boxers, the notion that he could compete with true world-class talents like Canelo or Anthony Joshua is laughable to most boxing experts.
And it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and I'm actually being dead serious. I think Jake Paul would be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in, Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or, or Mayweather-McGregor.
Simon Jordan, the former Crystal Palace owner turned outspoken boxing pundit, has delivered a scathing warning to Jake Paul regarding his proposed fight with Anthony Joshua. Jordan insists the matchup is nothing short of a mockery of boxing, arguing that Paul has neither the legitimacy nor the skill to stand across from a heavyweight icon like Joshua. He warns that this fight damages the sport's credibility, calling it a perfect example of everything that's gone wrong in modern boxing. In Jordan's view, Paul will be completely demolished, making the matchup not only reckless for Paul but also disrespectful to Joshua. He believes it cheapens Joshua's legacy by turning a legitimate athletic contest into little more than a spectacle.
Player welfare. He is in a situation where someone's welfare should be considered in the equation, not his financial welfare. But Jake Paul going into a fight with Anthony Joshua, to me, is absurd. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a legitimate two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He may have got destroyed by Daniel Dubois, but notwithstanding, there's nothing physically wrong with Anthony Joshua that he can't execute. Mentally, he might be in a little bit of a difficult position after the loss to Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul, if this is not going to be, curated into a little dance around exhibition, could find himself in a way of getting seriously hurt here, like Francis Ngannou did. Francis Ngannou was an MMA fighter that got blasted out by Anthony Joshua. A fitter, more focused Anthony Joshua than the version that we've got now, possibly. But this, to me, is everything that's wrong with boxing. It's a money play, nothing wrong. I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua getting 50 million quid for an easy night's work. That's fantastic returns. Most people would take it. But from the boxing world, Jake Paul is now a professional fighter. Whether we categorise him as a YouTuber or not, he's licensed to fight, which means that the governing body should be suggesting that this is not a fight that possibly they should be looking to sanction.
Yeah.
But they will, because the sanctioning fees will be enormous. Anthony Joshua will not lose his legacy like some people are suggesting, because no one will remember it in 2 or 3 years' time. If he embarrasses himself in there, they'll remember it. If he goes in and knocks him out in 30 seconds flat, or turns it into a little bit more of a sort of Jake LaMotta raging bull, holding him up for a few rounds and then knocking him out, then people will forgive it. He'll get a big bag of money, which most people in the world would take, and move on. And then we'll see if he fights anybody meaningful in the year. I mean, it is like sport has become. And what I got my head around on Saturday night was the entertainment value of Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. The fight in of itself, I could be all pious about it, but the entertainment industry is so prevalent in sport now. This is entertainment. This is going to have hundreds of millions of people watching it. Of course. And Anthony Joshua gets paid, and Jake Paul hopefully gets flattened.
Simon, I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get demolished.